Okay, can you guys hear me? Okay, Sam, obviously Mississippi State had a great win at LSU. Just wonder what your thoughts were about having to play another ranked team. Now you got 8 on your schedule, and what you thought of Costello, the quarterback in particular.
Costello he was incredible. I mean, could throw every throw, was very poised. Coach Leach, I mean, those guys did a great job of preparing that football team. Um, Kylan Hill is the guy that offense runs around, and man, he is really, really exceptional football player. They're using him a little bit differently, not running him quite as much as he did last year. I anticipate him running him on Saturday, but he's catching the ball out of the backfield and doing a great job. But they've got a lot of receivers that can make plays, and KJ Costello had his career game. I mean, it was unbelievable, and for him to be a transfer and then come in and do what he did was really outstanding.
Scotty.
Hey, Sam, Simeon Blair got his first start last week, and I think this week he's listed as an or at boundary safety. Could you just tell us more about the player he is and maybe the potential impact he can have for you guys defensively?
Well, he did a really nice job for us. He's smart. He plays hard. He starts on a couple of special teams. Joe Fouché was out for a few days. Simeon stepped right in there, and obviously we got Joe back a couple days before Saturday. I think Joe's first practice might have been on Thursday of last week. But I was really pleased with the way Simeon played, and he's detail oriented, and he plays really hard.
Tom.
Sam, I'm wondering what you think, what areas you think you guys can get better quickly, like what you saw that was right on the brink, what areas that you can be better at this week?
Well, I think we have to be a lot better on special teams. Georgia dominated us on special teams. We couldn't get off holdups. We obviously gave up a block punt on something very simple that we worked on it, but it just didn't happen in the game. Just blocking, basically. You look at the offense, I think there's still too much indecisiveness about where to line up, I knew that we were going to struggle up front against Georgia's defensive line. I mean, going into the game, I didn't think we was going to be able to pound the ball at them. We got to play better up front. We have to play faster, physical up front on offense. We need to play more players on defense. I think we got tired. We played a lot of snaps in the first half, about the same in the second half. But special teams has to improve in a quick way, and we can fix that. And our offense just has to be more consistent, more urgency. To me, we were just off almost the entire game.
Nate.
Sam, I guess Mississippi State had 7 sacks against LSU. Is that a concern? And also with tempo, I mean, do you feel you need to slow that down and try for more ball control after what happened last week?
No, I don't think we need to slow down. This is what we do. I think we need to do what we do more effectively. Obviously, they've got some very, very talented defensive linemen and Smith and Jones and Weed, and their defense kind of goes through Thompson. He's kind of been their leader, but we didn't protect bad against Georgia. Certainly, it's a concern because they move all over the place. They twist and move, and just part of their defensive coordinators' the philosophy, and they do it well. They're not as big on the D line. They're huge on the O line, but on the D line, they're not quite as big as what we just played, and they move quite a bit more. So LSU got into a throwing game with them because they were behind, and I don't know if they threw it more than what they normally would or not, but there's a lot of opportunities for sacks there, and they certainly went and got a bunch of them.
Coach.
Yeah, Sam, I was wondering, I noticed that Dorian Gerald came out of the game at one point, and I don't think he came back. Do you have any update on his health and if he's going to be available for you this week?
Yeah, I think on Dorian, I think it's just a wait and see. He obviously turned his ankle, so we'll have to wait and see what comes out of that.
Nikki.
Hey, Coach. You mentioned you're getting a few guys back this week. How does that make you feel about your depth on defense when you say that you need to rotate more guys in there during the game?
I think that'll help us, Nikki. Soley will be back on defense. McClellan will be back, so those are two that strike me right. Bush will be back. So there's three on defense that will get back, and hopefully Dorian will be able to play. But we can't, we can't go 3 and out, on offense, and especially take no time off the clock. And I'm not blaming the offense. I mean, Georgia's got one of the best defenses in America, but we certainly need to have more success there to help our defense out.
Everybody.
Coach, I was just wondering if there was anything that you thought maybe was happening in the game, like maybe you thought something wasn't working or a player wasn't doing well, that when you went back on the film, maybe changed your mind.
No, it's hard to see everything, most of the time as a line coach, it was, you could see, you would just watch those 5 guys, so you could see a lot of it. But, I thought that wide out, we had to get separation. We have to get open, and they did a nice job of press covering on us, and Felipe was getting rid of the ball. I just we've got to get open. We have to get separation. So that was one of the things that stood out. And I thought our defense played extremely hard, and on tape they did. And it wasn't, we missed some tackles, more tackles in the second half. We had a guy right in the hole on their 6-yard run for a touchdown, and we just missed a tackle. So I think we'll work on that this week. We're going to work on a lot of things this week that we need to improve on, but I like the attitude of the kids. I think they'll work hard to get there.
John Neighbors.
Yeah, Coach. Just the matchup against Mike Leach this weekend in Mississippi State. Have you had much experience with Mike Leach, and just what do you think of him as a coach, and what has made him so successful as a college coach, especially with his air raid type offense that he's been so good at for so long?
Well, I think he's really smart. I mean, if you watch, he basically, I don't know what he does, but it seemed to me like he checks the pass game like most people check the run game. And he wants to find out whether you're in man, whether you're in zone, whether you're in 3, whether you're in 4, whether you're in 2, and then goes to attack and knows how to attack it. He's been doing this a long time. And, I met him first when he was at the University of Oklahoma. We'd just gotten fired, and they came in there and did a great job there. But he's an outstanding football coach, and I've met him, but I don't know him well, but I have a lot of respect for him. And he sure as heck had his team prepared, ready to play on Saturday.
Jason.
Hey, Coach, when you look at Kylan Hill and what he can provide in the passing game for them, I mean, how difficult is that to kind of plan for a back like that who can run the football but also, had 150 yards receiving last week?
Well, very difficult because if you're in man coverage, a lot of times, and most of the time, your linebackers have a man-to-man, and that in itself can be a mismatch on him. And so, you zone, and if you zone cover him, then you're going to give up the short passing game, and then you have to get him on the ground, and that's been very, very difficult for opponents. He can spin around, he can jump over the top of you, he can run by you, he can run through you. I just think the guy's really a great football player. I really do. I love the way he plays and the effort that he gives.
Let me know if you've got more questions in the chat. Nate?
Yeah, Sam, does anything against an offense like this from last week's game plan translate, or is it just like everything just starting from scratch?
No, I think it does. I mean, we're gonna do what we do on defense. Certainly, like last week, we tried to double coverage. Number one for Georgia. Obviously, Pickens is a great player, so we were trying to double him. So we'll find out however we need to cover them and whatever we need to do to give us the most advantage. But we'll still run multiple schemes, multiple coverages, and things of that nature.
Hey, Coach. I was just wondering about Trey Knox. Only one catch for 3 yards against Georgia. We know he dealt with a little bit of a nagging injury last year. Is he back to full strength? Are those numbers only, or are those numbers only due to Georgia's defense that you were talking about? And how do you go about getting him more involved this weekend against Mississippi State?
Well, he's got to get open. I mean, that's the first thing. If you're wide out, the number one thing you want to do is go get open. So they were pressing, and the press is also a lot of grabbing going on. That's what the SEC does. So we need him to get involved in our offense, and we're certainly looking forward to him doing that. He played extremely hard, but we just weren't able to get many balls to him.
Carlos?
Coach, how long do you think it's going to take you to achieve that goal of winning a SEC game? Right now, it's 20 consecutive losses, but how long do you think it's going to take you to get that SEC game win?
I'm hoping Saturday. That'd be long enough. I don't know. We're all disappointed that we lost to Georgia. But in my opinion, we're heading in the right direction. And so we just got to keep working. I mean, we're blue-collar school, blue-collar university, blue-collar state. We got to go to work, and that's what we did. And I think it showed there in the first half. But we got to figure out how to finish a game. And certainly whenever that win comes, I don't know. But I know we're certainly striving for it and working that direction.
Troy?
Hey, Coach, good to see you. I'm curious, week one against Georgia, you go up against a team that didn't really know what quarterback was going to be put in, and now you go up against a team where they have the air raid attack and they threw 60 passes against LSU. What kind of changes are you guys going to make in practice to go up against this air raid attack?
Well, I think we're going to have more Skelly and basically in our coaching staff meeting today, I said, hey, let's forget about the sheet of paper, what it says on paper, what we're supposed to be doing during this time. I mean, this is a totally different football team than what we played last week. And so we're going to obviously spend more time on the passing game. But with Kylan Hill, I mean, they've got a really good offensive line, and I'm really impressed with this Cole Smith kid they have at center. I mean, he does a great job for them. They can run the football. They're huge up front. They can run the football, and of course they have a great back there. So, but you're gonna have to stop the passing game, and so we're gonna spend more time on that this week.
Jordan?
Hey, Coach. No, we're looking forward now, but now that you do have one game under your belt, if you could go back and play that Georgia game again, anything you would do differently, whether it's personnel, game preps, anything on your end, or as far as your guys or coaches go?
Well, yeah, I'd have called a timeout whenever we ran out of time on a field goal. It ended up working out best for us because we missed the field goal and we punted and we ended up getting 17. We added 17 yards to the possession, and the other thing is I probably wouldn't have iced him twice. You know, if I'd known he's going to miss a second one, I sure wouldn't have called timeout. But other than that, we had 10 guys on the field twice on special teams, and we can't do that. And, you know, some of those things go with first game. Some of them, honestly, go with COVID. I mean, nobody understands what happens with COVID and quarantine. I mean, you understand, but what that does to your special teams and to your offense and to your defense, because one day you test, the next day they're not here, and they're not here for 2 days. They're not here for 10 or 14, depending. So with all that said, I think, you know, special teams is the one thing I think that we spend a lot of time on. But Georgia's so big and so physical on that, they dominate. We couldn't get off. We couldn't get off of them on the punt team, and we couldn't get off of them on the kickoff return, their kickoff return, and it hurt us. I mean, I was going to go for it on fourth down there when we were 7-5. I felt like it'd be our chance to get up 2 scores. We took a sack, and then we kick a line drive, and they return it back to the 40-some yard line. We just field position was a big deal, so special teams got to be better. Scott knows that. I know that. The kids know that. It'll be better Saturday.
Sam, you mentioned, I guess, Leach being on Stoops' staff at OU. Do you remember when that transition was going on? Did Stoops pick your brain about the offensive line? What was that like? What's he been like in these Zoom meetings? He's known for being kind of eccentric, I guess you'd say.
Coach Stoop was very kind to me. He called me in and told me he had an offensive line coach. It was Coach Mangino, who he had hired at K-State. I knew Coach Stoops in recruiting. I knew him when I was a head coach at Hutchinson Junior College. And then a year or two later, Coach Leach, I ran into him and asked him where he's living and this, that, and the other, in Norman, how he liked it and all that kind of stuff. But they all, you know, the K-State group with Coach Stoops and all those guys, there's a lot of really good coaches came out of that tree right there.
Tom?
I'm wondering what you see schematically that's so successful, what they do, the crossing routes and stuff that they do. And then also their receiving personnel. You've kind of talked about other groups, but what you make of that receiving bunch?
Well, receiving-wise, Mitchell is probably the guy. Williams, Peyton, Heath, those are the guys. Mitchell probably the one that sticks out right now the most to me. He had 7 catches for 183 yards. But the bottom line is if they catch you in man coverage, they're going to run pick routes. They're going to try to, at least last week, they tried to get the outside receiver, pick the inside receiver, get the outside receiver across the middle of the field. And obviously, if you add in linebackers, there's nobody in the middle of the field. So they're almost trying to take you out of adding in on the blitz. They're against LSU. It was hard because there was nobody in the middle of the field, and they were dinking the ball down to whomever receiver coming on crossing routes, and the corner was behind because he'd gotten shielded. You know, he'd gotten picked through another man's route.
Coach.
Yeah, Sam, you already touched on your punt coverage unit, but what was your assessment of your punters, Loy and Carrollton, and do you plan on using two moving forward?
Well, we had a plan for a little bit of rugby with Loy. He obviously can punt rugby or conventional. I thought the guys punted well. I mean, I think Carrollton had a 50-yarder with no return on a fair catch. So we obviously if we're going to protect like that, we better speed up because we got the block. But I didn't think his operation was slow. It's just they collapsed the middle and came off right off the edge. We're overlapped too much on our shield as well, so we got to fix that.
Jason.
Hey, Coach, I just wonder about the offensive rhythm, and I know everything starts up front, but how do you is it the passing game getting the running game going, or is it the running game getting going to allow the passing game with what you guys are trying to do offensively week to week?
I don't think any of us were happy with the rhythm of the offense. There was too many misalignments, shifting the back from one side to the other, tight end one side to another, wide receiver on off the ball, tight end line up on the wrong side of the ball, wide. There was just too many missed assignments there. It slows everything down. Now the quarterback's having to get everybody adjusted. We really didn't have that problem at practice, but we did the other night, and the quarterback was getting everybody lined up instead of looking at the defense and seeing how we can attack that. So that has to be a big thing for us this week. We got to calm the quarterback down so he can make plays. And the only way we can do that is everybody else knows what their assignment is.
Last one, Troy.
Yeah, Coach, obviously after a loss, you focus a lot on the negatives, but I'm curious, it was your first game as the head coach of Arkansas. What was the best part for you on Saturday?
Being the head coach at Arkansas. I mean, it was, I don't know, I got to see the kids that I had recruited and been around at Georgia. And the coaching staff over there. That was a lot of fun. That was great to see them. Obviously, the feeling that we had going in at half ahead. I mean, that was a great feeling, and I felt like we'd made some good adjustments. And I decided to take the win in the third quarter because I felt like we could possibly knock them out, stop them, get the ball back. And it all worked exactly like we thought, except we didn't score 7 on that possession. But I don't know. It was, Arkansas has been good to me, and we got to win some games, so they'll continue to be good to me. But it was an honor to be the head coach at Arkansas. I felt it.
Thanks, Coach. Yes, sir.